Welcome back to Brain Bitesize. Have you ever wondered what happens when the confident and assertive ENTJ faces extreme stress? Today, we're diving deep into the shadow side of the ENTJ personality type. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see the commander in a light you've never imagined. The basics of ENTJ. ENTs, often called commanders, are driven by the dominant function, T, extroverted thinking. This makes them detail-oriented, focusing on facts over feelings. Their auxiliary function, NI, introverted intuition, allows them to predict future outcomes. While they're logical, they're also intuitive, making them strategic problem solvers. Their tertiary function, SHE, extroverted sensing, draws them to aesthetics, and their inferior function, PHI, introverted feeling, gives them a moral compass. The shadow emerges. When ENTJs face overwhelming stress or encounter situations that challenge their core beliefs and strategies, a transformation begins to take place, pushing them into the realm of their shadow functions. This profound shift can be disorienting for the typically assertive and confident commander. The dominant function of the ENTJ, T, extroverted thinking, which usually drives them to be detail-oriented and focused on external facts, starts to recede. In its place, T, introverted thinking, emerges. This shift causes the ENTJ to turn inward, analyzing and reanalyzing situations in a loop. Instead of exuding their confidence in decision-making, they second-guess themselves, leading to self-doubt and introspection that is uncharacteristic of their usual demeanor. Simultaneously, their auxiliary function, NI, introverted intuition, which typically aids them in predicting future outcomes and making strategic decisions, morphs into NE, extroverted intuition. This change causes the ENTJ to lose some faith in their intuitive abilities. Instead of relying on their internal compass, they seek patterns and answers in the external world. This shift can be overwhelming, as the ENTJ now grapples with many possibilities, leading to indecision and a feeling of being lost. Furthermore, their tertiary function, SHE, extroverted sensing, usually anchors them in the present and draws them to aesthetics, transforming C, introverted sensing. This change prompts the ENTJ to dwell on past experiences, especially mistakes. They may become overly critical of themselves, dissecting past events and focusing on their perceived failures or shortcomings. Lastly, the ENTJ's inferior function, PHI, introverted feeling, which provides them with a moral compass and a sense of inner values, shifts its focus outward, becoming PHI, extroverted feeling. In this state, the ENTJ becomes hyper-aware of external judgments and the emotions of those around them. They may feel an increased need to conform to group norms or become overly concerned about how others perceive them. The triggers of the shadow. The ENTJ, often revered for its commanding presence and strategic prowess, is not immune to the vulnerabilities that come with extreme stress or trauma. One of the most profound shifts in their personality occurs when they enter their shadow mode, contrasting with the typical assertive and confident demeanor. But what exactly triggers this descent into the shadow? A primary catalyst is extreme stress or traumatic events. When faced with situations that shake their core or challenge their foundational beliefs, the ENTJ may find themselves grappling with emotions and reactions that are foreign to the usual self. This upheaval can push them into their shadow mode, where the dominant and auxiliary functions are suppressed, and their less developed functions take the forefront. Another significant trigger is when their motives or abilities are called into question. ENTJs pride themselves on their competence and their capacity to lead and strategize. When they perceive that their actions aren't yielding the desired results or when they feel their capabilities are doubted, it can be a jarring experience. This feeling of inadequacy or perceived failure can propel them into their shadow state. In this mode, they might find themselves second-guessing their decisions, feeling overwhelmed by possibilities, and overly concerned with how others perceive them. Understanding the shadow. The shadow side of a personality, especially in the context of the ENTJ, is a fascinating and complex aspect of human psychology. At its core, the shadow represents the unconscious part of one's personality, containing traits, desires, and instincts that one might not be consciously aware of or might even reject. For the ENTJ, this shadow side emerges most prominently during extreme stress or when their core beliefs and abilities are challenged. When the confident and assertive ENTJ is pushed into their shadow, there's a noticeable shift in their behavior and thought processes. The dominant function, T, extroverted thinking, which usually drives them to be detail-oriented and focused on external facts, transitions to T, introverted thinking. This shift causes them to introspect more, analyzing situations repeatedly and leading to potential self-doubt. It's a stark contrast to the outward confidence they typically exude. Similarly, their auxiliary function, NE, introverted intuition, which allows them to predict future outcomes based on patterns, turns to NE, extroverted intuition. This change makes them question their once trusted intuition, leading them to feel overwhelmed by the myriad of possibilities they start to perceive. The usual focus on the present, driven by their SHE function, shifts to focusing on the past with C, introverted sensing. This can lead them to dwell on past mistakes, sometimes viewing them through a more negative lens than reality. The most profound shift might be seen in their inferior function, Phi, introverted feeling, which morphs into Phe, extroverted feeling. This change causes the ENTJ to become overly concerned about others' judgments and perceptions, a trait not commonly associated with this personality type. They might start to perceive judgments where none exist, leading to feelings of being misunderstood or undervalued. So, there you have it. The shadow side of the ENTJ. Remember, it's not about fearing the shadow but understanding it. If you found this insightful, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Brain Bitesize for deeper insights into personality types.